Evening, Ed.
Okay, Mayor.
Good evening, everybody. It's our special commission meeting for November 17th. Can you please call the roll?
Mayor O'Happen,
Here.
Vice Mayor Himmelberg,
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez, Commissioner Kennedy,
Here.
Commissioner Samaria.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Mayor, if I may, if anybody in the audience or on the dais has their computer speakers on, please turn that off so that we can eliminate the feedback.
I did that before.
Thank you.
Commissioner Samaria, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. Liberty, justice for all.
Are there any additions, deletions, or withdrawals to the agenda? Hearing none, do we have any presentations? I'd like to open the floor up to public comments related to agenda items. Is there anybody that wants to speak? Please put your hand up and make a motion.
Madam Mayor, I also do not see anybody on Zoom. There is no one on Zoom.
Oh, okay. Okay, then we don't have any public comments. So we don't have any consent agenda or reports, ordinances. I'd like to do resolution 2021-53, Calvin Giordano and Associates Agreement. Valerie, would you please read that?
Thank you, Mayor. A resolution of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, approving an agreement between the Village of Biscayne Park and Calvin Giordano and Associates, Inc. for the provision of building plan review and inspection services and municipal planning department services, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2021-53, Karen Giuliani Associates Agreement.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Hammelberg. Is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor, if I may, just real quick, to let the commission know, this was the item that was tabled to extend, or not to extend, to restate the contract terms, as there was a confusion as to when the contract, we received the information for doing the extension from Calvin Giordano. The difference from what was tabled, I believe it was in October, to what you see in front of you is that Calvin Giordano is going to maintain the current fee split of 65%, 35%, 65 for them, 35% for the village, which is existing. So we made sure that that was in the agreement. Everything else stays the same and nothing else changes.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on this resolution 2021-53?
Yeah, I have a couple of things if I may.
Commissioner Kennedy?
So Mario, just to recap what you said, nothing other than the split has changed in here. The fees, the scope of work, the insurance they carry, everything else is exactly the same as in the contract. That
Yes,
we're
sir.
doing. Okay. So I want to discuss for a moment, section 5.1, because that's really the meat of the issue is the split. So it says clearly that the split is 65-35. And it doesn't quite say that when we address the permit fees, the fee schedule, that's when it splits. The language of it says, until the village commission is presented with a resolution, then it changes. So that's the exact language in there. I spoke with Valerie about this, and she can step in here as well. I don't want to speak for her, but it's my understanding that wording, what that actually means is, if a resolution is brought to the commission, it doesn't matter if we accept it or not, just the fact that the resolution is brought to us would trigger the change, whether we change anything or not. So if we didn't change it, if we didn't change the fee schedule, it would change. And if we did change the fee schedule, the split would change. So the split changes and we get less of a percentage regardless of what the new fee schedule would be. And the fact that a resolution was even brought to us initiates the change. And that worries me a little bit, because that means if a resolution is put on the agenda, that triggers a change, whether we accept it or not, and whether we even vote on it or not. So just the fact that as soon as that resolution is put on the agenda, a change is in effect one way or the other. So my question is, who presents a resolution? I guess the manager or attorney can, because it's the trigger is the presentation of a resolution. So that worries me. So does anyone else have a comment on that?
Oops, I had the exact same comment of Mario earlier, and I'm not real sure
Correct.
where it stands.
So Commissioner and Commission, yes, when we've had several discussion with regard to the fee changes in the past as discussion items, when it comes per the resolution that was passed in January of 2021, they will make the recommendation for a new permit fee schedule, and that comes to you as a resolution. Should the commission agree to it, then the split is a 70-30 split. Should the commission not agree to it, then it becomes a 75-25 split. And that was how it was approved by the commission back in January of 2021.
But
Just
the
to,
po-
maybe I could rephrase it.
Okay.
So the concern that he's raising is, what if a resolution is Can you hear me if I
There
speak
you
into
are,
the mic?
yeah.
What if a resolution is presented and they take no action on it and they table it?
we discuss it and we decide to table it.
On that circumstance, because it doesn't say 5.1.2 doesn't say if the village votes one way or the other. So the concern was raised, what if they take no action, a resolution's presented and they take no action, then does it default to one of the other two?
It does.
So what was the intent?
So the
or
intent
the
is
agreement that you had with Calvin
right.
Giordano?
So the intent is a resolution based off the final 2 or 3 discussions were made. We were going to come back with some additional information. We can't do a full comparison like the commission asked, but we were able to do some comparisons based on rescheduling or refeeing certain permits, so you can see what the differences are. At that point, then the commission would make the decision whether to move forward or not with the changes. So the intent is that resolution would be the deciding factor of which way that split would go. If you table it with no discussion or not with no vote, I guess the question would be, what would the table be for? If it's just I don't want to talk about it, then yeah, it would. But as of right now, Calvin Giordano withdrew their recommendation until we can figure out some other issues with building official, as our current building official is helping us part-time as she's accepted a full-time position at Hollandale Beach. So they're trying to find a replacement for that. And I'm trying to work on a backup plan as well. So they've withdrawn their recommendations until they can have someone more permanent to be able to take a look at it as well and make sure that they're comfortable with how everything is.
So here's a scenario that I see could very likely happen. They would present to us a fee schedule. It would be on the agenda in the form of a resolution, which automatically triggers a split change just because it's on the agenda as a resolution. We have a discussion about it and we don't agree to the fees in there and we want some changes. Well, at that point, the trigger has already been pulled and the split changes that night. just because there's a resolution on the agenda. Or
Calvin,
the wording that's here, if the wording said something like, if the resolution was brought to a vote, that would give us the ability to discuss it and then motion to withdraw, and we can move on and keep the split the way it is, while they work on the fees that we would want them to alter for us.
The language,
Calvin Giordano wants more money. That's, I think, the reason for it all.
Yeah, yeah.
Cost-
They're getting more money in two ways. They're getting it by their percentage and also by the fees. And it's, look, we're going to address this and make it fair for everybody. But one of the things automatically happens as soon as a resolution is put in front of us without us ever having approved the other one.
Mario.
I don't think that's right.
Let's listen to Ed.
Yeah,
Ed is on.
I think you have to read that all together. You know, and you're either going to approve or disapprove what they provide to you. If you approve it, then it's 70-30. If you don't approve it, it's 75-25.
Mario, let me
Exactly.
ask you a question. First of all, we don't know when they're going to present this, right? We have no idea.
Correct. I don't have a
That's the
timeline.
first part. And then the second part is, does it have to come before us as a resolution from the get-go, or can they come before us and we can discuss the fee table recommendation prior to a resolution?
Yeah, we can have a discussion. We've already had two discussions on it. So the direction in after the last discussion was to bring it back as a resolution for a vote.
With information that we have yet to receive.
Correct. And that's
So-
because they've pulled it all back.
But
I
we
don't
need to
think
talk about that.
if it would, Valerie and Ed, if you can,
I think they're seeking is language that's a little bit
Correct. I
different.
think-
And so if 5.1.2 read that the serv, it'll continue at 65-35 until the village commission either approves
Or
or
disapproves.
denies.
Right.
A
I don't see them
resolution
denying
adopting
that.
something to that
Yeah,
effect.
I don't
So it's
see
not
them
maybe
having an
just
issue
the
with
fact
that.
They were presented with a resolution, but actually take some action either way.
Correct. So I don't mind them amending that. And I know that their intent is, yes, we'll submit the resolution and then they'll vote on the resolution. So if we can add that language, that's not going to be, that won't be a deal breaker.
That's
for
the
them.
only reason I bring it up, is the
No.
concern that there's a trigger in there, and the trigger is very clear, resolution brought to us. So if we can sort of just separate from that little thing a little bit, so we're not forced into action we didn't intend to take, I'd be fine with that.
Commissioner Kennedy, thank you for bringing that up. I would agree with the language change.
So are we gonna withdraw this for tonight?
No, you
No,
can approve it
as amended.
So
Okay.
let me ask Valerie to read, let me pull it up here, so I want to read along with you. This would be in the 5.1. So what are you suggesting?
Something to the effect of the same way it reads for 5.1.2, services will be compensated based on a 65-35 split of all permit revenues collected by the village. The parenthetical will remain the same until the village commission either approves or denies, or votes to approve or deny a revised increased permit fee schedule.
I'd be happy with that, if the word vote is in there, because if we don't bring it to a vote, then it stays the same while we address it.
Yes, we can put the word.
Okay, so
Thank you,
does
Valerie.
that mean that I have to make my motion to say that? Or does that mean
Just to approve as amended.
just approve as amended? Okay.
Okay, we're gonna do why do
Mayor-
I keep
Mayor-
getting?
Mayor, you don't have to touch the microphone. By unmuting yourself, you're causing the feedback within the room. So you don't have to touch anything on Zoom.
Don't touch the computer.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, just don't touch. Okay, so what do we do? Do we have some, I don't know who made the motion.
Okay, we're gonna
Want to amend it
take a voice vote on the resolution as amended.
as amended?
All in favor of approving the resolution number 2021-53 as amended? Say aye.
Aye.
Does that require roll call?
Aye. Any opposed? Say nay. Okay, the resolution passed as amended. We now have 2021-61, open government software. Valerie, you want to read that, please?
A resolution of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, authorizing the village manager to execute a proposal from Carasoft Technology Corp., utilizing the pricing, terms, and conditions of the National Association of State Procurement Officials created agreement between the state of Utah and Carasoft as amended by the state of Florida participating addendum for the purchase of cloud-based ERP software solutions, which is OpenGov software, in an amount not to exceed $139,195.40, authorizing the village manager to do all things necessary to effectuate this resolution and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion to approve open government software.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Mario, do you want to start the discussion on that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission, as you all know, the building department is still in a very paper-heavy and manual process when it comes to fulfilling permit applications and various other annual licenses, such as the landlord permits or business tax receipts, etc. This puts a considerable amount of strain on the residents and on the staff to complete it, to complete the process on promptly. It also creates where we could have years where if staff forgets to call around and make sure that the landlord permits are, or any of the other licenses are not done annually, then that year things are not collected, and it creates a revenue shortfall as well. Last year in 2020, the Florida State Legislation in their session added a new law which adds additional requirements on municipalities that we must meet to be compliant with Florida statute. Some of those additional responsibilities put extra strain on staff to ensure that we follow statutes with the very limited resources that the village currently has. One of the main things that I've been trying to do in the about year now is modernize the various processes that the village has, so that we can streamline it, make it more customer friendly, and make it easier to go through the process, not only for the residents, but also on staff. So earlier this year, I began to look at the various different options for electronic permit applications, electronic plan review, website enabled status updates, automatic license renewals, and permits. And I started looking at updating our village's financial process as well, accounts receivable, check issuance, payrolls. And the one thing I learned very quickly is that very few, if any, softwares actually does everything. You have a lot of softwares that only do certain components, and they don't always talk to each other. So it becomes very difficult. So one of the things that I've done when looking at various subjects is I go to the ICMA website, the International City and County Managers Association. There I found OpenGov as a potential solution for the village's needs. I submitted a request for the demo via their website, and I've met with Rabin, which you'll see present in a few minutes, several times, as well as had staff join me on several demos for that. I've also looked at several other softwares, and again, some might do permitting, but then they'll have another component or another software interact with them to do electronic permitting. Or, well, you can only get this aspect, but if you pay an additional licensing fee, then we can add this other component to it. And it became very convoluted in how we were looking at it. And so one of the things that I saw with OpenGov is that they have a seamless transition with how they've done it. So we've continued to talk. Just to give you a little bit of background, and I know that there's a typo here in my memo, OpenGov was actually founded in 2012, not 21. So thank you to the commissioners that pointed that out. And they work with over 1,200 government agencies. And so I'll let them get into a little bit more detail of that. I know one of the things that they've asked for me to do once I wrap up here is to show a quick video that they've done with the city of Tampa. One of the other key, which I just briefly mentioned, was how everything works seamlessly within their program. And that was key because, as you all know, we have very limited staff. And so having staff have to learn multiple different softwares to try to do their regular job becomes a problem. And when the softwares don't talk to each other, now we're doing the work 2 or 3 times just to do one thing, which could be just to issue the permit. So that was a big priority for me. So as I start bringing up OpenGov to give you their formal presentation, I just want to show you this quick video, and just give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, and so with that, I'll introduce Raveen, who's been my main point of contact at OpenGov, and he'll walk us through his few slides that he has. Just a few minutes though, not the 40-hour one that you gave me the first time around.
All right, is this mic on?
Yeah, and hold the mic closer to you.
Okay, sound better? Thank you. Our citizen services allows you to modernize and digitize your building, permitting, and code, all the way from a customer-friendly resident portal where they can come in, submit applications, track status, view dashboards, make payments through a fully integrated administrative backend. And that's where your team can come in and intake those applications, review plans, route to the appropriate departments, and ultimately issue the document. And that covers anything from permits, business licenses, or business tax receipt here, inspections, and code enforcement. Some of the ROI, return on investment, that you can expect and that we see in the state here is up to 4 times faster processing times for permits, up to 7 hours saved each day across the permitting team. We're seeing up to 80% in reduction in walk-in traffic and walk-in volume, and up to a 50% reduction in inbound calls. This citizen services is a tool that allows you to configure different points of the software to meet the goals of your building and code. Requires minimal customization and effort to really give a rapid deployment and create customer approval flows and streamline the application process. And like Mario mentioned earlier, it's fully HB 667 compliant, state standards, and fully ADA accessible as well. And included in this for the village is our full reporting and transparency platform. And that's where you can bring in multiple sources of data across the village, whether that's financial or non-financial data, and be able to tie them all together in a single pane of glass. Very simple, easy to use, level dashboards that will allow you to drill down as far as you'd like, and allow you to allow your team to make decisions by looking at true performance. Just a couple of quotes I wanted to share from some of our customers today. This is a code enforcement officer in Kittery, Maine, who wrote, "As a code enforcement officer, we can pull up the app on our devices and view everything. We can build inspection checklists, plus take and upload photos right there. We're not lugging around as much and know exactly where all the information is." My favorite quote is one from Kernersville, North Carolina, Mike Horney, who's the development services manager. And he sent us a quote that said, "We have a permit tech that's been working here for 27 years. She would have been the first one to complain if the new system wasn't cutting it, and she loves it. Nobody wants to go back to the old way, nobody." And that's a real description of the OpenGov difference. And here is the OpenGov ERP Cloud, all the different software that we offer. We're starting our journey with Biscayne Park with our citizen services and reporting and transparency platform today. And we'll be looking for, in the future, another phase that will cover our budgeting, planning, and financials. Just a few comments I wanted to share with the group. We have over 300 years of public sector experience. We've really walked your shoes. We don't just serve government, we are government. This is a journey we want to take with you. We understand your challenges and priorities. We've met with your entire team, and we really want to be the next chapter in the Biscayne Park story. Thank you so much, and glad to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Ravin. And joining him as well is Eric Di Prospero, who's kind of like the big guy in charge. and we're lucky that he's, I believe Ravin told me he's a local Key Biscayne resident, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Eric? Perfect. So we have the idea with OpenGov, not only does it resolve the issues that we need to take care of now and with to meet state compliance, but as we continue to streamline the various processes throughout the village, as we continue to grow, we can grow within OpenGov as well. You'll see in front of you, they have a slew of different suites. And so right now we're only focusing on the citizen services and the reporting and transparency platform. That is all we're touching for, that we're talking about tonight, but we can continue to grow forward to add budgeting and planning, as well as the various financials, so that we can not only process invoices, but we can be cutting checks here at City Hall. So we can either stop with what we'll have, or we can continue to grow. And so this gives us the flexibility. We're not committed to adding any of these additional suites. We only do that when we as a village are ready for that, if we're ready. We could just say, you know what, this is working, everything else is working great. Let's just leave everything the way it is because we finally found that sweet spot and we can stay there and that wouldn't be a problem. So there's a lot of flexibility with the software. If you have any questions, more than willing to answer.
I don't think we have anybody watching to do public comments.
Give me one moment and I will double check. No, Mayor, no one's.
Okay, well, I'll open up comments from the commissioners. Any of the commissioners want to speak on this? Commissioner Kennedy,
I do, but I'll defer to other folks to go first. I don't want to always be the first to jump in there.
I'm sorry.
I said, I do have some questions for these gentlemen, but I will defer to the other commissioners. I don't want to always be the first to comment. So why don't you guys go first and I'll play cleanup.
Well, we've pretty much all seen the big presentation, one by one. We've all had discussions with the manager. And we need to do something, and this looks like a really good option to me. So I'm on board.
Yes, I think we've discussed this at great length with these gentlemen and our manager, and I certainly think it's a great idea. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Samaria?
I do the same thing. I've had discussions already about it, and I've read all of these things, and any questions that I had, they were all answered. You know, this is something we need to do. I do like the idea that we don't have to go all in. We can do section by section. So this is a good idea.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
The only question I would have would be how we would pay.
Yeah.
$36,000.
And I apologize, Commissioner, I didn't mention that in the presentation. So this comes out of the building fund. All the permits and everything that we receive would be paid through the building. Because this is to streamline and reports everything on the building department and how that functions, that fund can entirely pay for all of the costs as associated with being presented tonight. So the not only for the software license, which every year would be $37,422. It's a 3-year subscription, but also the professional services, which is to get us up and running, all the hours that they will spend to make sure our permit applications are now online, and we're able to kind of go through all that. Included in this price, the $64,000, is to migrate everything from our current software, B, S, and A. Whatever data we have there would migrate onto OpenGov. So we're not losing any data either.
But if the fact that the building department pays for this, so we're going to have the money to pay for it. This is something that I think we desperately need to do. We need to get much better organized.
We did budget for this, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
That's what I thought.
Yes, we did.
So Mario, since you're talking about that, I'll save the rest of my questions till later. Specifically, does this come out of the office technology line item 51 under building department?
I believe so.
That's
Yes,
the
there were
budget
2
where we have like
projects.
138.
Yeah, it was the software and then
So
there
that's
was also
coming out of that
scanning.
line item. Okay.
Correct.
Commissioner
So I
Gonzalez?
just, I met with them as well, but I think it's important that people understand that the timeline here as far as, you know, when this starts to develop and when implementation will actually happen. So if you don't mind, just letting us know what you think about the timeline is, you know, as far as it's concerned.
Sure. You know, one of the things we're looking to do after this is to kick off the project in the next 2 weeks, you know, based on the level of effort it's going to take to get the village there and the resources available. You know, it'd be somewhere between a 3 to 6 month implementation to be fully live and fully involved in the system. And we have to move as fast as the team wants to. Whether that's, meeting once, 1 to 2 hours a week or meeting for longer sessions to get it done faster. We have the resources to be able to do that.
Great. And then another question, Mario, maybe this one's for you is, I know we're in the process of getting a new website created and this will be able to be implemented with that website, correct? Or is this going to be a different site altogether?
So for the end user, they would click on a link
On our
and
website.
on our website, and then it'll take them to the page where all of our information would be on. But it doesn't affect, and they've also worked with our website provider quite a bit as well. So they have those relationships already built in.
Okay, cool. That's
Any other comments?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. So first of all, thanks guys for the presentation for tonight and also the individual meetings that you had with us, just so residents who are listening in are aware. We all had the opportunity to have a much longer presentation and have like a lot of questions answered. So thank you for that. I have a couple of questions and a couple of comments, if you don't mind. And some of these are going to be a little nitpicky kind of just things because I read all the little fine print on things. On the quote, it gives a year of November to October, and we won't be implementing this until December. So I'm assuming this will all be effective upon Mario signing a contract with you, not as stated in the quote.
Correct.
Okay, very good. The rates that you're charging us, how do you come about the rates? Is it based on the size of our budget, on the size of our village, on the term that we're willing to commit to you? How do you come to the $37,000 a year number?
We used a pre-negotiated state contract that has a discount built into it, and it's based on budget size as well.
Okay, so basically we're paying less because we're a smaller municipality than the city of Tampa is.
Absolutely. When
Great,
you get
that's-
the same amenities
Okay,
as,
so the 139,000 across 3 years, it's $37,000 a year for the subscription, and then 27 the first year, and that's for setup, training, data transfer, all of that good stuff, and that's a one-time cost. But when I read that, it looks like we're paying by the hour. It sounds like we're committing to 145 hours of work that would fall under that category, correct?
we're committing to the 145 hours that would fall into that category.
What happens if we require more than the 145 hours, or what happens if it doesn't take all 145 hours to get the job done? Are we paying by the hour, or is that a flat fee regardless?
We can, it can be paid all up front. We can do it on a milestone basis. So what that does is get paid out as those things are completed. But having kind of fully scoped out and having done these projects in Florida numerous times, I would say that our estimate is very, very accurate to be able to complete everything you're looking for.
Because you have that experience and we don't. So it's kind of like I'm seeing a number of hours. I'm like, I have no idea if 145 hours is like way overshooting the mark, or, oh my God, now we're coming. Now, what we don't want is you to come back here in 2 months into the process and say, wow, you guys really were in the dark ages. And, you know, we got to dust off your abacus and get you upgraded here. And it's going to take a lot more. And then Mario has to come in and ask us for more money. So are we guaranteed that's not going to happen?
No.
We're
That's
not
gonna happen.
guaranteed it's not going to happen, or it's not going to happen?
It's not going to
Where
happen.
it's not going to happen. Okay, good. That's what I wanted to hear.
And Commissioner, the good thing about where we're starting from is we are moving essentially from almost as if nothing exists, and then we're going to build out that system. So that will start collecting data as people use it. All the historical data will then get migrated into the system, but it's not, the going live won't depend just on moving the historical data. So they don't have to move it exactly how it looks in this other software. We're going to
can get
build it like
started
the
and
first
keep
time.
adding more in as we
Correct.
go. Okay, very good. And this is something we discussed at length when I Zoomed with you guys. A couple of things. So we're not paying anything additional if there's a customization required and there aren't bills coming down the road because you update your system, you upgrade your system, and now we have to pay to upgrade on our end as well.
There's no additional cost. We release enhancements about every 2 weeks. That's included in the
Okay.
subscription, and you would just decide whether you want to turn those features on or off.
Okay,
when they
that's great,
become
because
available.
I know a lot of organizations get themselves involved in things like this, and then every 6 months, oh, there's an upgrade, you got to do the upgrade, or now it's not going to work, and here's another bill. So all the upgrades are included in this ongoing.
Yes,
Great.
and it's unlimited users, unlimited
Yeah, I
usage.
saw that, that's great.
Perfect.
And obviously, we're not obligated to bring in any additional modules. None of this pricing is based on the fact that support. Okay, so we're a small municipality of very short staff. I think you're looking at the staff. Here it is. So what does the support look like ongoing? 6 months, we go live, and we're having issues. Mario and staff are having issues. Next year, we're having issues. Year 3, we're having issues. How does the support work and how do we pay for that?
That the support is included. And part of that support structure includes a dedicated customer success manager that's located in Coral Gables, Florida. And that's a person that's going to be totally dedicated to the account. We also have omni-channel support, many different methods, depending on how your team wants to engage us, whether that's chat, we have resources centers, we have in-app guidance as you're highlighting over different areas. One of the things that we also do throughout this process is we record everything. So all the training sessions, everything that we're going to be doing to build out your team is going to be fully recorded. And then we'll be providing those recordings to them. And I find that that's really helpful because this software is very easy to use. And sometimes you just need a 5-minute refresher on how to do it again.
So the staff, not we, because I wouldn't do it, but staff can go back in and watch whatever you trained them on and refresh themselves. Or a new person comes into the office, Shantae and Mario can get them up to speed pretty quickly on the system.
Absolutely.
what
Yes.
you
And
do.
I'm
Okay.
here as well, ongoing, even through deployment and after.
Not only that, Commissioner, but as part of their program on the end user side or the resident side, they have FAQs and videos so that can help people go step by step through the process in case they get stuck or, oh, I did it last year, but now I don't remember. So it keeps all that recorded so that they can see how to do it.
Excellent. From tagging on to something Art just asked you, from the resident's perspective, when they get in there to do something they need to do, are they engaging with Biscayne Park or are they engaging with OpenGov? Once they go onto our village website and click on like get a permit or whatever, and it now puts them into your system to do it, are they still seeing Biscayne Park or are they seeing something called OpenGov and they don't know what that
They're
is?
seeing a customized page for Biscayne Park and they're interacting with Biscayne Park.
As far as they're
Yeah.
concerned, Biscayne Park is still in front of them. Great, because sometimes as a consumer, it's off-putting when I'm in someone's site. I click on something and all it says, you're entering blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to be there, Okay, good. So they're still interfacing with us. This is probably a question for Mario. Maybe you guys can answer this as well. How will this impact plan review with Calvin Giordano? And do they work with other municipalities that use OpenGov?
So yes, they have used not only OpenGov, but other systems as well. As a matter of fact, one of the demos that we did was with Shelly, so that she can see how that works and how that would work with Calvin Giordano. It would make the plan review process much easier because we no longer need to wait for the inspector to come here and then look at the plans one at a time. They can have plan reviewers in their Coral Gables office or in another office to be able to take a look. And then if they have a comment, that automatically gets registered and then gets sent back to the resident or the permit applicant, so that they can then address what they need to address, as opposed to, okay, I'll come in on Monday, I'll make a comment, then we got to send something, then the resident or the applicant doesn't get something for the end of the week, then it's a 3-week process just to do a comment. Here, it makes everything basically at your fingertips through the website.
So this should reduce the workload with Calvin Giordano and save us certainly time and some money there as well.
I don't know about reducing the workload, but it makes it more efficient
More
because,
efficient, okay.
right, because they're
Less
able to use
manual,
more
certainly.
resources.
Okay, same question for planning and zoning board, our planning and zoning board. So will they, because I know they still work with printed plans as well, will they also do everything digitally at the P and Z level? And will those digital plans be able to be added onto the backup to the agenda? Because right now residents who attend meetings can't see any of the backup for a P and Z meeting.
I know that we normally do scans or copies into a Dropbox, so that the board members can reference those things. This would make it a lot easier because now there's the digital format, and they can just zoom in, zoom out, and it controls everything much better for us to output
Will
it.
there be no more scanning of documents? So let's use the digital.
We just use the
document.
digital format, correct?
And could they then be added to the agenda because they're digital? So because right now nothing's really visible to the public at these.
Yeah,
meetings.
it would have to be a link because these plans are so big that you can't just put them as backup in the agenda like you would have in your file.
But they could be linked somewhere.
But yes,
inside
it could be
there.
led somewhere where they'll be able to see where those files, we can make them into PDFs, yes, but
No, I didn't intend. it
No,
to
but
be PDF,
I'm
it
saying
could be
what
linked
w-
somewhere so an agenda could get you to that.
Correct.
position. Good, excellent. Because that would be a big improvement to our planning and zoning process in terms of visibility to the residents. There's a section in here about how code complaints can be registered online, so that's great because we have a cumbersome, system now. But obviously Florida doesn't allow the anonymous reporting, and I see that it's an option there, so we could turn that off, right?
That's right.
Okay, very good. Now, I'm going to be a broken record here. This is all, sounds fabulous, but if residents don't know about it, they're not going to use it. And we will have lost some of the gain here. So obviously communication is going to be very important. My last comment then, it really is a question for you, Mario, and we've already talked about this at length, I know. But we're going to jump from the dark ages to the Jetsons here, and I think that's probably not a good analogy because I think the Jetsons now officially are in our past. I think the Jetsons were like the year 2000 or something, but in my old brain, the Jetsons are still in the future. So long term, this is going to be great. It's a big thing to take on. It's going to be a huge feather in your cap when you pull it off. Are you confident that you and your staff are ready to take this on?
yes, sir. And I feel more confident because of the support system that I've seen OpenGov give, not only to our discussions, but to other cities as well. And that's been, with any type of resolution or software or any type of contract, I'm regularly talking to other city managers throughout Miami-Dade because, you have some city managers that have been city managers for 30, 40 years. I want to get a better best practice from what they've experienced. And so everything that I've heard from OpenGov has been set back to me by their clients, to the point that when Shelly saw this here, now that she's in Hollandale Beach, she's like, I'm trying to see if we can get OpenGov over there as well. And they're much, much bigger than we are, so I think knowing that we have the support structure with OpenGov and their company is so big that they can, what they're offering is a turnkey solution, right?
Yes.
It's a turnkey solution. So we're going to tell them, this is how we want the application to look like. This is how we want it to work. And then they do all the coding. They do everything so that when our next touch on it is making sure it works. Yes, this looks right. This is how it should be. Okay, we're not doing that physical creation of it.
Okay, just want to make sure that we're
Absolutely.
Clearly, we need to modernize and we need to make something like this happen. I just want to make sure that you're not going to be overwhelmed with the small staff you have to pull this off. It sounds like you're confident. And one last little tiny question. The only other extra that I saw in here where you guys charge extra is if we need live training. So all the training for our staff is virtual. If they need to come in here and do any live training, we pay extra for that. So just want to make sure we're all aware of that. We're aware that's in there. And are you guys confident? Have you guys discussed this, that we can pull this off virtually without having to pay extra?
Yes, and in our discussions, I'll be here as well on site for some of the training, the deployment as well. So regardless of that, I'm going to be
Okay,
on
I
site
just
again.
asked because it's
Yeah.
noted in there. It's very clear
Sure.
that that's an extra charge.
Right. And what we want to be able to do in those trainings, is actually show our staff exactly how it works. So it's not just a PowerPoint, this is where you go. It's getting them to see and how it feels and how it works. After that, if there's a constant turnover, then yeah, we have it all recorded so that they can do their training at their pace so that they can catch up. But if we needed to do, let's say in year 3, there's, all new front level staff that needs to come up because we've grown so much, then if we're going to bring someone down to do it, that would be an additional cost.
Okay. One last money question for you guys, and that is, it's $37,000 a year for the subscription, and we're obligating to 3 years. What happens years 4 and on? Can we negotiate for that to be extended now? So what I don't want is year 4, it's like, it's $57,000 a year now. You don't seem like the kind of guys that will pull that, but I just want to make sure that we're watching we have a very tiny budget. So can we extend that? Can we say with options to renew at that rate? If assuming this all goes just great, we have an option to renew it for another 3 years or more?
Yeah, we absolutely could.
Great,
Yeah.
let's get that written in there before they
Sure.
change their mind. So rates go up on everything. So if we can, we're not obligated to it, but if we extend the contract, why not try to lock in a rate if we can? Okay. You guys did a really nice job. Thanks again for our individual meetings and for tonight. Mario, I think you did a great job getting all of this answered for us and presenting it. to
Thank
us.
you,
So
sir.
Thank you for that. I'm prepared to support it. I would like to see the extension on the rate if we can get that.
Is there
We'll
any
take care
other
of that. Thank
comments?
Yeah, I would like to say that I have been trying to buffer a lot of angst of a lot of our residents and some of our contractors that have been having difficulties with the system we have in place now or the lack thereof. And people have been asking for it. People have been saying that we are behind the times. It's taking so much longer here in Biscayne Park. And people have been begging for this. So I appreciate Mario, you stepping forward and getting these people here. I appreciate your company and putting in so much time with us to make sure that we're aware of what we're getting and to make sure that you understand as a small community with a small budget, we have issues. And I just feel very good about this.
Thank you.
Okay, can we?
Okay, I can make a motion to include.
I thought we already made the motion. You made a motion.
But I want to amend.
Let's leave it for Valerie. Valerie, do we need to amend?
The resolution itself, does it need to be amended if there's clear consensus and agreement from the vendor to keep that price locked in? Or how many renewal terms?
I'll provide an addendum that will lock the rate for another 3-year renewal term if you'd like to extend it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 2021-61, those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Resolution passed. Okay, well,
Thank you.
congratulations, I hope to us and you.
We're very excited. Thank you so much.
Us also.
Thank you very
Okay,
much,
I'll
Mayor.
take a
Mayor,
resolution for an adjournment.
before we
Make-
adjourn, I'm sorry. We have 2 variances that are going through the system. I anticipate that they'll be ready for commission especially with the holidays that are coming up for January. So if you can start looking at your calendars, and then I'll have Shantae reach out to everybody so that we can come into an agreement as to when you'll be available, unless you all want to discuss a date today.
Why don't we just discuss it right now? Because I can tell you, we have a meeting on January 4th, Tuesday, the 4th. I'll be out of town, January 7th to the 10th. I'll be out of the country January 21st to the 29th.
I
So
don't
lock
have my
something down?
calendar
I'm
with
out
me.
January 31st through February 7th, so the last day of January.
Can we do 2 in the same evening, Mario? We did that before, didn't we?
Yeah. It would be,
2 variants, hearings.
Oh.
Yeah. Can we just pick a date now, like Tuesday, January 18th? Does that work for everybody? It gives enough time for public notice, doesn't it? Legal
Yes, sir.
advertising and all of that?
January 18th, you said?
Tuesday, the 18th?
Tuesday, the 18th? Okay.
And that would be a 6 o'clock start?
Yes, sir.
And make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Thank you, everybody.
Meeting is adjourned. Good night, everyone. I hope you have a pleasant evening. Thank you, Paul.